it's about all this fashion, hey. Yeah, you really getting money for the capital. See the buddy on the gram and he even cap on his caption, hey. You ain't talking money, then you yapping when you lose it all, my nigga. Now just remember who had it, hey. I been rapping nigga like a bandit, hey. Made the car just to answer, they wanted status. Dope boy, Fred, 441 to the project. Lying young and street, made the pussy, bring the block back. Standing in the kitchen, whipping nigga, get your contact. Shout out for the ride and made the deploy, hey. Ran up for my dog, don't catch you slow, hey. Love my pistol, dog, can fit you like a glove. I ain't come up out the truck, they no fool me was selling drugs. Shout for the round and mid deploy.
What is going on, guys? Valero, my man, how you doing, bro? Good to have you here, man. Good to have you here. So listen, guys, today we are doing the Tuesday night live stream. Got myself a little beer here. Got a couple of guests that are going to join us. I want to welcome you guys to the Tuesday night live stream here at the Security Guard channel. As always, remember, our goal here is to help educate, motivate, train, and inform new and willing to learn security guards. And remember, that includes me. Guys, listen, it's all about community. This is not just my thing here, guys. This is everybody, all right? This is a community here. I want you guys to be a part of what we're doing because it's all about growth. And like I told you guys today earlier, we have to have more people that are sharing their experience. Guys, the link to join the stream is actually in the comments. It's pinned in the comments. It's actually on the it's on the community tab as well. You guys can join in. It's all about everybody sharing their experience. What each one of you guys goes through in your daily time as a security guard. Man, I can't talk today. And what each one of you guys goes through in your life, it's all different. It's all personal. Everybody has a different experience. And some people are going to resonate with people differently. And that's why it's so important for all of you guys to start speaking out. These bills that they're passing in legislation, these rules that are coming down from the governing bodies of security organizations, all of the things that ultimately affect whether or not we can continue to make money in this industry, they're able to do that bullshit because there's not enough of us that are speaking out against it, right? The situation that just happened in California, the House Assembly bill that just passed, that's going to basically make it impossible for individuals to run their own security company. There were only like 12 people from the security industry that went to speak out against this. Guys, we have an entire laundry list of things that are coming down in January here in Oregon. And there are a few people that are very passionate about fighting for the security industry. But for the most part, people just don't give a shit. You know, they don't give a shit. They don't really care. They don't want to put any effort or any time in. And for those people like myself, like some of you guys who are here, some of you guys who are watching, some of you guys who are following this channel, this is how you pay your bills. This is how you feed your families. I get it. There are people out there where this is something that they're doing for a very short amount of time. They're not going to put a lot of time and effort into it. They're going to be out of it in a little bit of time. I get that. There's people that aren't sure what they want to do. They're looking to move on to being a police officer or move on to doing, you know, bigger and better things. I get that. But for those of us who are doing this for a living, those of us who are feeding our families and taking care of our responsibilities off the back of security, we have to start speaking up. So I want to do these live streams. I want to bring you guys into these conversations so that you can see that, listen, your voice, it matters. And it seems small, guys. I know it seems small. 3 years ago, when I was just starting this channel, I could have never thought that I would be on Fox News having conversations on national television. But speaking out on this platform has led to me having a national platform. And if more of us do that, more of us can have a bigger effect on not just the security industry, but on every single aspect of what we're dealing with. So listen, I've got my rant. Let's bring in some people here. I got my man Dave. He's coming on to the stream.
Yo, what's up?
Dave, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, nice impassioned intro there. Dave, what do
Yeah,
you do? Are you a security guard?
yeah. I'm actually a security supervisor. I work on a native reserve casino.
Okay.
Um, I'm in charge of a small group, so myself included is only a team of four.
Okay.
We run the clock. We're full time, like 24-hour shifts. So yeah, I've been
So
doing it
when
for
you work
almost
on
a decade now.
Dave, when you work on a Native American reservation, do you have to
Yeah.
be native in order to do that, or can anybody work in
No,
that?
no. Ironically enough, this is funny. You had mentioned how some of us do are just doing security, just as a job. Um, my my common law wife is actually one of the security guards that works under me, and
Okay.
that was because she was in between jobs, and I was like, "Well, I have a position that's open," so she took it.
Yeah.
So now, yeah, so now she works alongside me, but for the most part, we're a one-man crew, like for this whole native reserve. So even though she's my spouse, she's the native one. However,
Okay.
I'm not. So, but it
Well,
works
hey,
out.
listen, at least you know you have somebody that's going to always be there. If you're dating or you're married or you're with the person
Yeah,
that also works with you, you got at least one more person that's going to have your back, that's going to show up for work. And if you
yeah,
guys are equally on the same page and you're both focused, man, that's great, because now you have two incomes. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So that's a great thing, dude. I respect it
yeah.
100%.
Thank you.
Let me bring Nicholas in here. Nicholas, you here?
I'm here. I'm here.
Okay, man. Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, your volume is a little low. Can you turn it up just a little bit?
Okay. What about now?
That was much better, man. Nicholas, give everybody just a quick overview of who you are and what you do.
All right, man. Well, like he said, my name is Nicholas. I'm actually 26 years old. Been doing security since I graduated high school in 2015. I'm currently a security supervisor doing aviation security for a company at UPS.
Let's
Um,
go.
I run a site of 48 officers. I'm
Okay.
working alongside my account manager. So anything that trickle down from him, you already know how I go. I gotta handle it. You know what I mean? So youngest on the management team. And I take pride in what I do. You feel me? Like I bring a different swag to the industry. You know what I'm saying? So I'm trying to, you know, bring a different light, you know what I'm saying, to the industry, because I'm just as passionate as you. I've been a fan of your channel for so long. Like this is surreal to me. Like I've
Oh
been
man,
following you since you started your channel 3 years ago, believe it or not.
that's what's up,
Yeah.
man. Listen, congratulations on what you're doing, aviation security. So, what exactly does that entail?
Okay, so aviation security is basically you deal with, of course, aircrafts. But with UPS, we have aircrafts and we also have ground service vehicles. So aviation security, we just deal with making sure that firearms don't come through the facility, making sure that the person doesn't have any paraphernalia, prohibited items such as like knives or multi tools or something that they're not supposed to have inside the warehouse. And then, of course, the main thing that
Okay.
we do is observe and report, and make sure that we're preventing theft. You know what I mean? Because we deal with a lot of cell phones. We just released the new iPhone 15. You know what I mean? So we have to deal with new Apple Watches and new people, that have access to the products. You know what I mean? So we got to keep our head on the swivel at all times.
Yeah, during 2020, I ordered like a lot of people, I ordered some ammunition offline, and I was tracking it, and it like made it to Portland.
Mhm.
And then like it was supposed to be delivered at 6 in the morning, and then it got pushed back to like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And I'm
Yeah.
following the tracking, and they got pushed back to 8 o'clock at night. Then it said it was gonna be delivered at 10. I'm like, ain't nobody delivering no damn ammunition at 10 p.m.
Yeah.
And then that next morning I got the message. It was like, yeah, your shipment's been lost or whatever. I'm like, man, somebody got my damn ammo, man.
Yeah.
So well, so between a native reserve and between aviation security and then working in Portland, we have a very wide group of security experiences here. So this will be good. I'm gonna throw a topic up, and then we're gonna talk about the topic, man. It's like the dude's version of the View right now. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So the The first topic is going to be relationships with clients. So I put up a post in the community section, and it asked the question. It said, "Look, if you had gotten into a relationship, you're working security, you're working at a bank, or it could be any location. You're working at a location, and they have a no fraternization policy. Now, some companies maybe aren't really explicit about this. I know specifically for where I work, they are very, very, very explicit. Do not get involved with people that you're working security for. Now, the reason is because we do corporate security. So when you're doing corporate security, you're working very closely with loss prevention, or if you're working at a bank, I mean, clearly you're talking about a lot of money. So the last thing that a company wants for you to do is to be in a situation where you could be compromised and allow something to happen. That's one aspect of it. The other aspect is that, if you have a relationship while you're on duty, and then something down the road happens and it becomes an accusation of harassment or an accusation of something being nefarious or going south, the company can be sued for that. So, I had some people that commented, they were like, "Hey, look, this is my private life. Like, why should it matter?" It does matter, because while you're wearing that uniform, you're bringing the company into it. So, Dave, I'm going to go with you first, man. What are your thoughts on relationships with clients? What's your thoughts?
Well, I mean, like I said, I work with my wife, so I will admit that they have the owners of the reserve, like they've been pretty lenient with that with me. However, I won't lie, like I do sometimes feel the pressure that, like, if she's not performing to certain standards, like I have to be the disciplinary, right? Because I'm the supervisor.
Right.
So I gotta correct her and stuff like that. So sometimes I feel like there's a fine line between, like, I still gotta you know post the rules and like abide by the rules, and yet at the same time I don't want to push too hard, because you know what happened. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, you gotta go home to that too.
Yeah, exactly. Once we clock out, you know what I mean? It's like that's a different story. So, but for the most part, in terms of interpersonal relationships, that seems to be okay. I will say that relationship with clients, as in, like, because it's a native reserve, and I work on the casino, a lot of these customers are community members, like reserve members, and a lot of times you have to build that rapport, because sometimes a lot of them they take it they can be very sensitive emotionally, like, because I'm not native, and if I'm here disciplining, like if I have to cut them off, or I have to tell them to leave because they're being too rowdy or they're being disrespectful, they tend to try to push back, because it's like, to them it's their land, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And here I am, like, I got to enforce this rule on this guy who's not a native, but I work for them. I have to tell them, like, that's enough, like, I'm sorry, guys. So it's really key to build a relationship, because it makes it easier to talk to them, like, and if you can build that.
Dave, I think that what you're hitting on is, a completely different topic that we could talk about, and we could do this a little bit later, is that there are cultural differences.
Yes.
We live in an area where there is a lot of Eastern Europeans. So you're talking Russians, Ukrainians, right? Armenians. And like, when these guys come into the store, their relationship with women is different than like an American relationship with women, right? So we have a lot of times where, someone's trying to get, cash a check or do a money order, and like it's a female behind the desk, and she's talking to this guy a certain way, and they're like, they're not having it, if I can just say it like that. They're not having it. You know what I mean? And a lot of times, like, I have to come over and go, hey, like, there's a cultural difference here. Like, and Western women aren't trying to hear a guy pop off a certain way. So, that is a conversation about cultural differences. But I specifically am talking more about relationships in terms of sexual relationships at work and dealing with the client. Now, for you, you're married, you're in a common law marriage, so you do whatever you're gonna do. But I'm gonna go to my man Nicholas over here, because Nicholas, you got the do-rag on. I see you doing the little chin rub here. So clearly I know you have some input on this topic. So what are your thoughts on having that relationship boundary with our clients?
So I'm gonna be real, you know what I'm saying? Like you just called me out. Like, I'm a young guy, you know what I mean? And I'm very keen with being able to speak to people. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
I
they,
believe you. I believe you.
they can act a certain way. So with me, for instance, I'll say good morning, hello, how are you throughout the night to make sure that the client is feeling safe, make sure that they feel comfortable and loved when they come through. Now, again, I'm young. So if you say that to a young lady in a certain way, they might take it a certain way, in a flirtatious way, you know what I mean? Or like you're trying to make a pass at them. So to answer your question just in totality, like I don't think it's healthy to have those types of relationships with a client due to the fact it can cause a lot of distraction, a lot of, unnecessary situations that you can put yourself in. So to prevent all that from happening, you know what I mean? Like, if I'm with a girl and she might ask me for a favor, you know what I mean? Like, and it's something that I can't do. So to
Yeah.
prevent myself from even being in it, as hard as it may be, I'm gonna be real. As hard as it may be, I gotta be professional because of the simple fact, one, I'm in leadership, like my guy up here. We're supervisors, so we're held to a certain standard, you know what I mean, than regular officers are. You know what I mean? So we got to enforce them no matter what. And we got to walk and talk like the example that we, you know what I'm saying, in the policies that we enforce. So if I fall short because I like to flirt or like to talk or whatever the case, I don't need to be in this industry.
Yeah, man. It's hard because it's easy for three dudes to sit up here and have this conversation. It's different when you're there at work and
Yeah,
they own you. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like
for sure.
how do you have this conversation with guys who are your age or younger? Because if you're in a leadership role and you're a little bit younger and like you might carry yourself a different way outside of work, how do you get this message across to younger security guards that are working under you?
Just letting them know, like, you have to really understand that leading by example is the reason why that we're in this position in the first place. You know what I mean? So when you become a security professional, I'm gonna say it like that. When you become a security professional, that's exactly what you have to be, professional. You know what I mean? In all aspects of the job, whether it's coming in contact with the client, coming in contact with your fellow peers, or just having a conversation to uplift them and give them, you know what I'm saying, the proper tools to be successful. You know what I mean? In high traffic sites, with where you can come across, females 90% of the time. You know what I mean? So just letting them know, like, hey, you can be yourself, throw your own spin on, what we have to do here, but understand that the objective is to make sure that you're keeping this client safe, not trying to, mac on them or, fill their head up with some nonsense so you can get what you want in the end game. Nah, we're here to do a job, 8, 16, 24, however it may be. So I just try to put it in a way to where they can understand and be relatable for them because I am young. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
hopefully that's your question.
Dave, do you have staff members that are under you other than your wife?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I got like I got two others.
Do you guys have a policy on fraternization?
Well, because of the unique scenario that I'm in, I would tell them, like, we don't have an outright policy that says you can't date within the workplace. However, that being said, I would tell them, like, you just have to know, live by, like, once you're at work and that uniform's on, you're all, you're 100% security, right? And then once you guys clock out, you guys do you, and like that's how it is, and that's how I try to stay with me and my spouse. If we're working side by side, we're clocked in. I speak to her like I would speak to my guys, no differently, like no more, no less. You know what I mean? And then once we clock out, we make time to vent. If she has anything that she came across that she felt like she needed to say, but she wanted to wait till after and stuff like that. But other than that, though, like, yeah, I don't. We don't have anything outright that says you can't. But it's not discouraged. But at the same time, it's like you just have to be professional about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Amani, can you hear me? We got a guy named Amani that just came on here. Amani, can you hear me?
Yes. Hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're there,
Hello.
man. You're kind of breaking up. Go ahead and say something. Yeah, we can
Hey,
hear you.
how's it going? Yeah, can you hear me good? Is that coming in clear? I can hear you guys pretty
You're
clear.
coming in clear, man.
So,
What's your thoughts on relationships? Hey, what's your thoughts on
well,
relationships with clients, bro?
that I'm gonna be 100% honest. I have a conflicted relationship. I was like conflicted thoughts on this whole thing. Some of the biggest contracts or best contracts that we've had have been through personal relationships. That either one of my people have had or one of our ownership, one of my partners has had with some people before. So I have seen where there can be some conflict. There can be some a lot of gray area when it comes to the whole relationship from professionalism for client and security company. And on the flip side, I've also seen where because of that personal relationship, things actually went better for the company.
Okay.
Not necessarily thinking about towards leniency, but just in the idea of, well, when certain things are happening, they're able to let us know on the client side when certain things are going wrong or there's any problems that might cause us issues with the contract. They're able to go ahead and let us know those things. So yeah, it's kind of I gotta say it's kind of a case by case basis. I do understand security officers have their own personal lives, so people that do work under us, the first thing we let them know, whatever type of relationships you have, whether they're with your personal in your own life or if you're meeting a customer or a client outside of work, you are free to do whatever. The moment that becomes a problem for us, it's going to be a problem for you working here. So, we do allow some of that freedom, but at the same time, the moment it causes a problem, we already told you from the beginning, don't let it cause a problem for us and our money.
Yeah.
And you know what? Hey, once you break up, you know it's gonna cause a problem. It's like that is the one thing that you can guarantee that if you are going to date somebody at your office, boy, that shit better go smooth until you move locations. Because if you break it off with that chick and y'all still got to work there, boy, she gonna burn the whole place down. I have had man, listen, I am the king of shitting where I eat. I have done that so many times and I have lost so much money over dumb shit. Like, and it's always that's why I put that question out there, because I'm like, man, I could put up questions about tactics and about, de-escalation. I can do that all day long. Like, we need to talk about some real shit. And what has lost me money and what has lost me opportunities and what has put me 10 to 15 years behind in the game is doing stupid shit, let's be real, over some pussy and allowing it to take over my focus when I should have been focused on my job and on my money. I think that we need to have more outright honest conversations like this about what it is that people are actually putting on the table. I don't think that most people realize, especially when you're young. I can remember being in my 20s, 24, 25, and thinking to myself, man, I got another 25 years to make it happen. 20 years has gone by like that. Like, you really don't. And, to sacrifice your livelihood over, 30 to 45 minutes or whatever, it's not worth it. So, man,
Right.
I'm happy to hear you guys say that. But do you think that there's room if in that situation everybody's transparent? Like, if you go to the supervisor, I know that Dave, you're a supervisor, Nicholas, you're a supervisor, Amani, I want to get your thoughts on this. If someone were working for you and they were to come to you and say, hey, look, me and Jessica or me and Samantha have this thing, we're really kind of feeling each other, we want to have this relationship, but we want to be transparent, does that change anything if they come to you kind of beforehand and announce that they're trying to be transparent? What are your thoughts on that, Dave?
I think transparency is key. Like any like any relationship, communication is key. So I mean, if they're willing to like be transparent, and if I can offer any advice that would help, I'd be more than willing to. I just want them to know that, like, hey, if you guys are going to do it, you guys are adults. I'll let that happen, but you got to promise me you guys can be professional about this, right? Because the job's got to come first. right?
Yeah.
We're here to do a job, so it's got to come first.
My
Your
man Amani
relationship.
wasn't Amani wasn't playing no games. He said, "You fuck up this money, it's a wrap for everybody."
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah,
I love it.
I think that expectation has to be set, and
Yeah.
it's nothing personal
Yeah.
for everybody that's involved. Even though they might be working the site, there are other people that work here besides you. So
right.
this contract, it's putting mouths in tons of other people's bellies, providing to pay bills and families and stuff like that. So I have no choice but to think of it like that, because I can't let one damage the many. So once having that expectation set from the beginning, if it starts to go down that negative path, being messy, I told you from the beginning, and it shouldn't be a surprise. So
Yeah.
Hey, you know what, Amani, you need to start a channel, bro, because I love that attitude, and I think that that's the one thing that across the board in security companies that's missing. There's not enough like we will cut the thread immediately. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of people that don't show up for work, a lot of people that call out, a lot of people that hem and haw. They don't take it serious, and for the most part, companies are so backed up in terms of needing people to fill sites. But I like that mentality, man. It's like, look, you do whatever you want, but mess up this contract and see what happens. Like, I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. I need more of that. All right,
Yeah.
guys. The next
Yeah.
topic is going to be executive protection. Have any of the three of you guys ever worked in executive protection? That can be, at the low level. That could be at, working, concerts, or like for me, I did executive protection for news organizations during the Black Lives Matter protest here in Portland. Have any of you guys ever worked in executive protection?
I don't know, like you said, concerts. So the most things I did before was I worked at a stadium.
Okay.
So I did a lot of concerts and like uh Disney on Ice, that kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like metal shows and stuff like that. So it was interesting. And hockey games, I did, because I'm from Canada, so we got hockey. Yeah, that's our thing. So like I did a lot of hockey games back in the day. So
Okay. Imani, you
yeah.
ever doing executive protection?
No, I have not.
Nicholas?
No, sir. No, sir. Strictly logistics, or I want to say, crowd control, maybe, I guess, but nothing.
Yeah.
That's the next step, though. That's the next step for sure.
The question that I was going to ask you guys is how do you go about staying focused on your target? When I was working for the news organizations, we would have the main principal would be your news anchor, and generally they were female news anchors, right? And then you would have a cameraman, or you would have a lighting guy or a sound guy, and then we would pick routes that were going to be the easiest way to access wherever the main protest was going to be. And then you basically would do bodyguarding and crowd control while they were getting their shots or doing their reports, because the Antifa protesters would come up and they'd knock the cameras out of their hands, or they would open up umbrellas so that they couldn't get the shots, and they would throw things at them. So you were doing a lot of bodyguarding, but you're in a situation where sometimes you're around thousands of people, and you have this one principal whose job is to go down and to get these pictures, to get these stories, and you're giving them your best advice on what's going on and what they should do, where they should go, when they should leave, but they don't have to listen to you. And then, like, if you bring them back multiple times and they're unable to get those shots, if another news organization gets them, like, the people weren't going to be happy with that. The producers weren't going to be happy with that. So what I was going to talk to you guys about and kind of ask you was how you went about handling situations where you're working for someone and your job is to protect them, but at the same time, they have the ability to kind of override you and basically tell you no. But I think that we all, regardless of what avenue of security we work in, we all kind of deal with that. Dave, I'm sure that you work around people that are worth a lot of money at a casino.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
How do you handle situations where you're trying to give someone advice for their best interest, but they got fuck you money, and they're like, I'm gonna do what I do. Like, how do you have that conversation with them?
You know what? It's funny that you said that. You're absolutely right. Because the hierarchy in this and the native reserve, like they have a chief and council, and they typically run the casino, and then we're like management there, so we run things. We look after a lot of money, so we have to protect all that money. And sometimes things comes up, and you give them your report, and you give them your suggestions. Unfortunately for me, in my experience, like when they put their foot down, there's like not much I can do about it.
Yeah.
I can only tell them what I feel is the best course of action. And if they overrule me, it's kind of like, okay, well, I did my part by trying to tell them, right? And if it falls through the cracks, like that's at least I could say I did my part, you know? But there have been a lot of times when they'll pull rank for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Amani, how about you? Have you ever been in a situation where you're trying to tell a principal or someone who is in charge, like something for their best interest, for the better good, and they overrule you?
Sort of. We do. We have a residential site. It's a pretty large site, a mixture of economic levels. There, mostly lower economic. Almost you pretty much can almost call it a project. Pretty much call it a project. And a lot of times there are issues that the property managers have with tenants, and sometimes those situations can escalate rapidly because of the property manager wanting to keep the thing or the situation going. And so in those situations, the property management, the manager themselves, they actually are like the client, but you're trying to diffuse the situation and they're not helping. And they're trying to still stay engaged. You're trying to get them away from it. Meanwhile, they're trying to actually come towards the problem more. So, we have had it in those situations where we're like, hey, you need to chill. We got this. You need, go back to your office, or come on, let's go. Let's leave the area. And sometimes they're not doing that. And so, in those situations, if as with a client, we keep having those type of situations, we then bring it to them like, hey, listen, I understand you're the client. I understand we're here to service you. At the same time, we're the safety and security expert to make sure that you make it home safely and you make it home alive. So if you don't want to take our advice, if you don't want to go ahead and take what our recommendations are, you can find another company to go ahead and work with. Now, does that suck for your pocketbook? Absolutely. But I don't want to have the situation where, because the client is going against what the best or the safest practice is, that one of my people get hurt for that. And so anytime, if a situation like that keeps happening, I tell my people to let us know. So let your supervisor know, let ownership know, so that way we're able to talk with the client and let them know, outright, this isn't a good relationship for us to keep having like this. And, it's your decision which way this goes. So, yeah, that's usually how we deal with those type of situations.
Sure.
Well, Money got the pimp hand, boy. He don't be playing no games. I love
it. You can't compromise safety just for money. We definitely don't like doing that. Safety is like it's the part of the name of our company. So, that's very important to us. Safety for our people, and it's safety for the clients as well.
Nicholas.
Yes, sir.
Ask me a question, man. What do you want to know?
Man, how long have you been doing security?
Well, so technically I've been doing security for probably, I'd say, about 6 years. So before moving to Portland, I was completely done with everything that had to do with law enforcement. So I had lived in Pennsylvania from about 2008 until 2016. I had worked as a county corrections officer. I worked as a state corrections officer, and then I served as a state constable. And the constable is like a municipal version of a sheriff's deputy. So you work for what's called a magistrate. A magistrate runs a small municipality, and most of these areas, they're very, very rural. So you're talking about like there might be, I don't know, 800 to 1,000 people for 30 square miles. You know what I mean? Everybody's very spread out. So a magistrate has that one area, and he does everything that's misdemeanor and low-level felonies. If they get to certain level felonies, he'll push it up the chain. But anything that's a misdemeanor, something that they can commit to the county jail. And so they utilize constables for courtroom bailiffs to serve warrants, to transport people to and from the court, or commit them to the jail. You have full arrest powers. You're a sworn officer. So I did that for 2 years. And while I was doing that, I was working courtroom security and doing some other, small details for smaller companies. But when I moved to Missouri, I was pretty much done. And I didn't want to ever carry a gun again. I didn't want to ever work in that field. I did 6 years in the military, and I felt like I had put my time in. But then when 2020 happened, the reaction to the George Floyd situation, I remember watching a news story where the New York Police Department and the New York Police Union was standing outside the department, and the union boss was like just cussing at everybody. And he was like, fuck you guys for asking us to. Basically, they were complaining about the calls for transparency. They were complaining about people having an issue with police brutality, and a lot of people were quitting. They were just walking off the job. And so at that point in time, I kind of looked at it and I said, you know what? Like, we need officers who want to do the job. And if these people don't want to do it, then I'll do it. And so I started looking very heavily at getting into law enforcement. The problem is that where I was living, I was in line to be offered a job, but it was about $30,000. That's what I was making with what I was already doing. And I think the contract was for about $35,000, and it was a 5-year contract. And at the time, my wife was just like, I don't want to live in this small town for the next 5 years. Like, you could make that doing Instacart, So we decided to move to Portland. Everything was locked down. I still wanted to be involved in law enforcement. I applied for multiple different departments up here in the Portland area, and actually got into a situation where I was offered 3 positions. But at that time, I had started working in the security field in the meantime, because everything was backed up for the sheriff's department. It was backed up for the law enforcement agencies. And so while I was working in this private security field, I was already doing executive protection. I was already doing, patrolling posts. I was working downtown in one of the worst areas, and I was making decent money. And for me, what the final straw was, all of these agencies in Portland, whether it was the Portland Police Bureau, whether it was the Port of Portland, the Portland State University, these are the 3 that I was looking at. All of them were understaffed. 2 of them had gotten rid of 90% of their police officers during this like complete overhaul of policing in the area. Okay, 2 of them. To the point that like they had 3 or 4 officers left and they were rebuilding. So while I'm going through the interview process, they're talking about all the problems historically that they've had. They're talking about the issues with race. They're talking about the issues with police brutality. They're talking about the issues of people not being able to understand or articulate 21st century policing, right? And when it came time for the rubber to meet the road, each single one of them wanted to take pictures of all of my tattoos. I've probably got 30 tattoos. They wanted to take pictures of all of my tattoos. They wanted to submit those pictures and get waivers for each one of my tattoos. And I'm thinking to myself, first off, I'm not a gang member.
Right.
Number 2, the fact that I have tattoos on my hands, you can barely see these, but I do have tattoos on my hands. But the point was, they're telling me how understaffed they are. They're on the news talking about how understaffed they are. They're complaining in the newspaper about how people don't want the job. And I'm like begging to be a cop. And they're literally, in my opinion, they were looking for reasons to not hire me. And it pissed me off. Meanwhile, if I work in security, it's like, hey, are you going to be here tomorrow? Yep. All right, there's your shift. And I don't have to worry about the bureaucracy. I don't have to worry about the politics. People need my help. I get a check every Friday. I'm going to be there.
Right.
And I kind of had to come to terms with the fact that like what I was wanting by wanting to get into the police department, what I was wanting to accomplish was being someone who was willing to help. Okay. And I can do that in the capacity that I'm doing it now. And I'm okay with that. And it took me a long time to figure out that, like, look, what you're trying to do is be someone that's going to be there.
Right.
Even if I was working for any one of those agencies that I told you about, I don't have the authority to say I'm going to go and help these people. If the attitude of the moment is that we're not answering calls, then we're not answering calls. If the attitude of the moment is that we're not going to arrest people because of how we view the district attorney, then we're not arresting people. In a private security capacity, we're there for a purpose. You need us to be there to protect you. We're going to be there to protect you. You need us to be there to respond. We're going to be there to respond. So it was finding a way for me to meet that need for myself, which is that need to be a person that's going to be there in that moment. And I'm able to do that with private security.
Man, I agree. That's deep, man. Like for real, I didn't even know that you were doing security for 6 years. But just to piggyback off what you said, like I agree. I just feel like with police officers, I share the same, passion as you when it came to wanting to be a police officer. Fresh out of high school, and I actually wanted to be a bail enforcement agent or a bounty hunter, whatever you want to call it. You know what I mean? Because we as a security industry and as security officers, we don't get a lot of respect for what we do. You know what I mean? We don't get a lot of respect for what we do. And the fact that we put on a uniform just like they do, we, get out and provide a service just like they do. We get out and interact with the public just like they do. But we don't get the respect nor first responder, tag or first responder respect, you know what I mean, in the industry, period. So to hear you say that, to hear you say like I wanted to be a police officer and to name those different entities, like it's music to my ears because I literally went through that, coming out of high school, sharing that same passion, that same drive. I wanted to, be there for the people because of my upbringing. You know what I mean? You weren't a game bringer. I was when I was younger. And thank God I was delivered from that. You know what I mean? Yeah. So being able to have those experiences and that type of grit, you know what I mean? And that type of street smart, that type of, per se, like shield about me, you know what I mean? If that makes sense, you know what I'm saying? I can bring that into the industry, mold it and put and share the same type of, things that I've been through and the same type of tactics that I have with a fellow officer and make them top notch to another company. You know what I mean? So yeah, man, not to go off on a tangent though. I really respect you. like legit respect the fact that you even feel like that because it's literally a mirror image to what I went through. For real. For real.
Well, I appreciate that and thank you for that. I think that whether someone gives us respect or not, the job still has to be done.
Of course.
And I've been in a situation, I've been in two situations, but the most recent situation where someone pulled out a firearm and I have no doubt they were ready to shoot the firearm, right? The way that I responded to that situation, the respect that I got from my direct supervisor, the respect that I got from the people that were there, the people that were in that immediate moment, that's all I need. Like that got me through the next 6 months. When I responded to a guy getting his head blown off in the parking lot, and I saw how every single person in the store responded to that situation. When the cops showed up, and I dealt with that because the loss prevention and the managers, they weren't there. And having a regional director call me directly and say, I'm in Ohio and you took care of this situation. Like, I cannot thank you enough for what you just did. That got me through the next 6 months.
For sure.
So like I don't need some random person to stroke my ego or see Nicholas how he's reconnecting here. Hang on one second. Let me get him back on here. There you go. I don't need some random person to stroke my ego. Like those are the things that are important to me. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
So we have to find value. We have to find value in what we do.
Right.
Too many officers are worried about what some random person thinks. It doesn't matter. It's the people that we're there to service and the people that we're there to protect.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
that's what's important, you know. Amani, I want to bring you in here, man. What do you have any questions for me?
Yeah. So it's funny you chose me. I literally just thought of a question when you were talking about the situation in the store that you dealt with, and then Nicholas kind of talking about the feelings that come behind, I guess, certain entities not respecting our occupation. I know that for security and for police officers, suicide rates are pretty high, or just even for other first responders in regards to the amount, because of the amount of stress that we deal with on a regular basis. Obviously, it's more highlighted with the other first responders in regards to, police, fire, EMS. Where do you see any space for security officers to deal with those feelings or those emotions, so that way it's not all bottled in, causing more stress and more mental issues and things like that? Is there a space for security officers? Because like you said, we deal with a lot of the same stuff. The difference is, there's this like duality of how we're perceived, where some are perceived as us as really great and some perceive us as, shit. So how do is there a space for security officers to, I guess, get those things off of their chest, or to get that help, or to have that circle of connection, kind of deal with those issues or thoughts?
I think we're creating it, man. You know, everybody's waiting for the I don't want to say the government, but everybody's waiting for the governing body to create something. When I first started this channel, I was like reaching out to our governing body is DPSST, right? Department of Public Policy, Standards and Training, or something like that. And they are in charge of law enforcement. They're in charge of corrections. They're in charge of security. And so I reached out to them. I'm like, hey, I need defensive tactics. Where can I get that? And they said, we don't do that for security. We do it for law enforcement. We do it for corrections. We don't do it for security. Okay. Where do I go to learn soft skills? Well, we do verbal judo for law enforcement. We do it for corrections. We don't do it for security. I got so tired of the answer being that we don't do it for security. I'm like, all right, well then fuck it. I'll go find that stuff myself. And I asked former police officers. I've asked hundreds of people to help me. Hundreds. I've reached out to fellow famous Black Second Amendment YouTube security guys, right? Was supposed to have an interview with one today. Was supposed to have an interview with one last week. And they have both ghosted me, right? But at the end of the day, it's like you ask and people say yes, and then they stand you up. And what do? You ask somebody else. So I have a former forward operator who literally, if I were to text him right now and say, can you teach me how to handcuff? Can you walk me through this tactical aspect of a firearm? Can you do X, Y, and Z with a flashlight? Dude, he would be over here in a heartbeat. Like, what we have to do is stop worrying about and wondering and wishing that the people that are supposed to do the right thing, that they do the right thing, because more than likely they're not going to. And we have to keep searching and seeking and building our own communities. That's what this platform is for. That's what my channel is for, my page. I finally looked at my community tab and I'm like, I need to come on here every day and just start teaching. Like, am I the most knowledgeable security guard? No. Am I the most decorated person? No. But guess what? I fucking care. And if each one of us do that, that's how we make it better. And ultimately, I guarantee you what will happen. You get enough people doing what we're doing right now and enough people doing what I'm doing on my channel, and I guarantee you every governing body and organization will start doing this shit, because you know what they don't want? You guys listening to me. That's how we do it. The second that we start creating a space for all of the security guards to start getting this stuff off their chest, talking about things, we start setting up meetups, we start setting up, symposiums and workshops. I guarantee you we do that on a large enough scale, and every single one of our governing bodies will go, oh, there's money to be made. Oh, there's an avenue. We'll do it. We'll take it. I guarantee you. But until then,
So
we need to do it.
So I guess this might be a good plug for you. I did see your post that you made about maybe 2-3 days ago about the channel and the page with the subscription, where you're pretty much talking or have the opportunity to teach or for others to learn about a lot of these things. Could you talk more about that? Also, I am not a plant, guys. I literally just saw this randomly 2 days ago on the channel page. So I
was going to talk about that. So I did create a membership page, okay? And I've never met you before, so I appreciate the fact that you said that, like, you're not a plant, because we did not talk about this. But I did create a membership area page because I think that in the last, I know for a fact I've spent over $10,000 in creating content. That is not counting the security guard training app that I created that cost me $24,000. All of that has failed in terms of taking off to the point that, like, I can make any sort of money from it. All of it has failed. All of it. Okay. So what? Just like we were talking about how, what do you do when you're not getting respect? The job still has to be done. Every aspect of coaching and training and teaching that I have tried from 2020 up to now has failed in terms of whether or not it has been financially successful, because it hasn't. This YouTube channel, though, has grown. It's able to reach people, and the reason why it's able to reach people is because everybody already has their phone in their hand. You don't have to drive to my studio to have this conversation. Your phone's right in your hand. So all of the effort that I've put into trying to do a brick and mortar, all of the effort that I've tried to put into doing an actual app, I want to put that effort into this YouTube channel and into that member area. And I don't want to give the effort and the production value and the information that we're putting out there. I'm still going to put out free information. Like, I don't think everybody needs to pay for everything, but I don't think that $4.99 is too much to ask for people to contribute to get some actual value in training. And I'm going to provide that value in training. I'm going to provide it in spades, guys. Like you see what we're doing now. We're just fucking getting started. The things that we're going to do. So what I would hope is that people who find value in what we're doing on this platform, they would tell another security guard, say, hey man, look, I know you're looking for training. I know you're looking for information. Like, follow this guy. Listen to what he's saying. Like, go to his page, look at all the free stuff that he has. If you check out his membership area and it looks like something that's going to give you value, like, look into that, because you're not getting it anywhere else. You're not getting it through your governing body, So, I want to have a place where we can start to have deeper conversations. A lot of what we've done up to this point has been very surface level. It's been very surface level. And as long as I'm putting things on the regular platform of YouTube, they're going to suppress it and they're not going to let it get out. But if we do things in a membership area and you have it closed off where it's not monetized, you can talk a little bit more freely. You can do more things with firearms. We can start doing some trauma care, all of those things. You just can't do that on the regular page. And I don't want to push people to another website, because once you try and get them to go from this location to another location, you're going to lose a large number of people. That's just my thought on it.
I got a question again.
Yeah, of
This
course.
is Imani. Are you going to create a company membership plan? Meaning that if a company or business or security organization is willing to pay more, so that way multiple people or their employees can have access. I know that would be something that I would be interested in doing. We have 11 employees right now. This whole idea of this community and networking is, I think, it's something that I would actually like to have consistent for my people.
Yeah, I think that'd be a great idea. And I'm actually sending you a private message right now. Let's talk after we're done with this stream. Let's come up with a way for me to work directly with your company. Let's do that. Because what we can do, to be honest with you, is create what it is that you need for your crew. Because what Dave is experiencing on the reserve and what Nicholas is experiencing working at the FedEx location might be completely different than what you're going through and what you're seeing and what you're dealing with. So the beauty of our situation is that you can say, look, these are the problems that my team is having. How can we address this? And then we can come up with a way to address that. So I'm going to send you a message right now. Let's discuss creating a program after the stream. I'm using my Windows computer. It's really there we go. Okay, it came through.
Yep, got it.
All right. Dave, did you have a question for me?
Oh man, because I had a couple. I kind of want to keep it lighter though, because I was thinking, because you said you're in your 40s, right? You started security.
45.
Yeah, I'm 41. So my question to keep it light is like, how do you deal with, like, we're older now. Like, how do you deal with like injuries and stuff like that, and then having to do the job? You know what I mean?
Man, dude. So like, I have really, really, really wanted to get back into jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
I have this fear. That I'm going to blow my knee out. I don't know why. I just have this fear that like my knee is going to explode or something.
Yeah.
I'm terrified. I will say that like I have had more pain this year than I've had in my entire life. I've got a blown out shoulder that needs surgery. I broke my shoulder 2 years ago. A crackhead tried to jump me. I know that sounds crazy, but he tried to jump me, and I broke my shoulder. So I've been living with a broken shoulder for literally 2 years. I have horrible like carpal tunnel. My hands, my fingers go numb. You guys know that I thought I had a heart attack back in April. Like I've had more health issues in this past year than I have in my entire life. And I think that a lot of it has to do with stress, right?
Makes sense. Yeah.
So my answer to you is getting back in the gym. Like I've been really focusing on my diet, aside from the fact that I'm drinking this big ass sugary beer, probably shouldn't have that. But I've tried to get back into the gym. I am working out more than I have in a long time. And then one thing that I had to do, Dave, even though it hasn't been financially good for me, I've had to take time off. I've had to.
Yeah.
I've had to accept the fact that I'm not as young as I used to be, that I have burned the candle super, super hard at both ends for the last couple of years, and it's catching up to me. So you just got to be comfortable allowing yourself to slow down just a little bit. Samuel, you hit me with a $20 super chat, man. Thank you so much. Companies have FTOs. Most of them need a break. Why not be like a substitute teacher? You could be a temporary FTO. They can come in 30 minutes early for class, and then you can go out with a few for field training. I love it. I'm all for it. Let's do it. So yeah, I mean, Dave, are you working out at all?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I try to go hit the gym 3 days a week, and then I have at least 1 to 2 days of they're just boxing. Like I do boxing, which I feel is a great stress reliever.
Absolutely.
One of the things I was concerned about is like when I do have a flare up or an injury or whatever, does it ever like gnaw at you that like if something was to go down, I'm not at 100%. So does that ever worry you? That kind of thing, or is
It
that just
does.
me? I don't know.
No, it does. But you know what it does? It makes me be that much more aware on the front end. So
That's
I
true.
heard
Yeah.
somebody said a statement. They said intention has a smell. And
Mm,
if you guys think about it, if you think about any situation where something has gone south, the guy that pulled the gun on me, when I saw him come into the store, I knew that something was going to happen with this guy.
yeah.
I had another guy that pulled a firearm on a loss prevention officer probably 3 or 4 months before that. And when he came in, he had a certain look about him, the way that he was dressed. And right as he walked past my station, he cut his eyes at me. And it was like the hairs on the back of my neck stood up.
Yeah.
The lady that pulled the knife on me, the second that I started talking to her the other day, it didn't feel right. So all of us, if we're being honest, we know that intention has a smell, and there's always something where you go, that guy's going to be the problem. I don't know why, but that
Yeah.
guy's going to be the problem. So when I'm not feeling good, when when I'm not feeling 100%, I try to lean into that. I have been wearing knee braces every day when I go to work, not because I necessarily have issues with my knees, but I have this thing in the back of my mind that something is going to happen with my knees. Why?
Mm,
Because that's my body talking to me, right?
yeah. Yeah.
So I'm being proactive in wearing those knee braces. And then when I see somebody come into the store, instead of me allowing that person to come in through the A door and then go 100 yards over to customer service, to where now when I get that phone call, I have to go 100 yards to get over there. I let
Mhm.
him get 50 yards and then I start trailing. Right.
Yep.
So now when that phone call comes in, I'm already like, yep, I already knew. And then
Yeah.
I'm that much closer. I'm not having to exert that much more energy because I can't run over there. I can't sprint, you
Yeah.
know? So you're going to have to be a little bit more proactive with where you stand, where you
Yeah.
position yourself, watching your doors, telling people, hey, look, if you're the supervisor and you have officers who are stationed in different locations, say, hey, guys, look, moving forward, here's what I want you guys to do. When you get that hair on the back of your neck that stands up for whatever reason, I don't want you to question it. I want you to call me and say, hey, this guy, this location, I got a feeling. And then just let me know. And then maybe you start to kind of walk that way and get an eye on that person before something happens. That's how you mitigate that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I
Does
like
that
that.
answer your question?
Oh yeah, for sure. I like that. Thank you.
Good deal. Good deal. Any other questions, guys? We're gonna get off here in a second. Any other questions before we get off?
Nah, boss, we good, man. I'm good over here, getting ready for work.
Oh, this dude over here. You getting ready to go out? You know what it is?
Wow.
Yeah, I'm about
My man turned the camera off, took the damn my dog's jumping up. I'm not upset. My dog's like, what's the matter, daddy? Man, you took off the damn bonnet, you got the sweatshirt on, you got the chain. You
yeah,
finna go
man.
kill him, huh?
I'm headed into work, man. I gotta go make sure my officers where they need to be, man.
Oh man. Okay. This dude here. All right, man.
Man, I
All right.
appreciate.
Well, hey guys, look, this has been great, man. I hope you guys enjoyed this. We're gonna let my man Nicholas go violate the don't mess with the people at work rule.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Man, I appreciate you being on here again, man. I'm a big fan of yours, man. This has really been a dream come true, to be real with you, that you actually even having a conversation with me, man. So it means a lot. You
Yeah.
know, it was nice meeting all you guys. You know what I mean? But y'all know how the security world go, man. I got to go get to it, man.
Absolutely, man. Hey, we respect it. Guys, thank you so much, man. We'll do this again, okay? Every week we're doing the live stream. If you want to jump in, you can always jump in. If you don't, you can just catch the replay. You can catch it. It's a community, guys. It's all about everybody. So each and every one of you, I thank you guys so much. Y'all be careful. Y'all take care of yourselves. You watch your back, okay? I want to make sure everybody's safe and sound, all right?
Yes, sir. You as well.
All
Yes,
right.
sir.
All right,
Thank
good
you.
deal. All right, y'all take care.
Thanks.
Hey, Amani, I have your information. I'm going to send you a text message, okay?
Okay.
Hang on. Let me check and make sure your number came through. Yeah, I got it. Okay. I'm going to send you a text message right now.
All right. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, Dave, man, it was a pleasure, dude. Thank you so much. All right, guys. Thanks for joining us tonight. Okay. Next time, I want more of you on here. We can have up to 10 guests at one time. Okay. We can have up to 10 guests. I want more of you guys on here next Tuesday. Let's get in here. Let's talk about this stuff. Let's have a great time. Let's keep it popping. Okay. Y'all be safe.